Today on Home Theater Fanatics, I'm going to show you my rack. Welcome back, everybody. A few weeks ago, Spare Change, in one of his videos, showed us his rack, and at the end of that video, he called me out. And well, this is my video response. Now, I've been doing a lot of work on this thing. I've got it pulled out of the wall. I've got a lot of equipment pulled out, but I thought maybe this would be a good time to show you my rack so you can kind of understand the things that I'm doing to my rack right now and the upgrades that are going to be coming pretty soon, and maybe a little bit of the thought behind each of those upgrades. So I'm just going to go from top to bottom and talk through all the different components so you can understand what's going on in my head. To get started, this is a middle Atlantic rack. It's 42U tall, which is a standard size that you might find in a data center, but this one is designed to be used for home theater. It's on casters, so I can roll it around, and I roll it around a lot because I'm constantly changing gear in and out of this thing, as you'll see as we go on. But this has turned out to be a really nice unit. It holds everything that I need, and it looks good. Now, I've got the glass door taken off right now, but it has a smoked look so you can kind of see through it and see what's going on inside, but it does mute out the lights just a bit. Now, to get started, let's start at this top shelf. On the top shelf, you're going to find my network switch. I'm using a Cisco Meraki switch today, but the goal is to move away from this 8-port switch to a rack mountable 16-port switch from Ubiquiti. Everything else inside of my home is Ubiquiti based, so I want to go ahead and match this unit up to those as well. It'll make management of the network a bit easier, and I'll have more control of the switch ports themselves once I move over to the Ubiquiti. Moving down to the second shelf, we get into my sources. On this shelf, I've got a NVIDIA Shield. It's one of the new ones, and I went with one of the new ones because I wanted to use the upscaling feature that it includes for some of my older 1080p content. And I use this primarily, well, really exclusively, to stream and to watch Plex. Now, Plex is a server where you can load all of your different content files and then watch them throughout your home. And I found that it's really, really nice. And this ends up being a really, really good front end for Plex itself. Now, I have a Plex server in another room. I'm not doing that here because I didn't want to have all those hard drives spinning inside of my home theater. Moving down to the next shelf, I've got a Panasonic UB820 4K Blu-ray player. While this can stream, I exclusively use mine for disc playback. The streaming functionality isn't quite where I would want it to be, and since I do have that NVIDIA Shield, I don't really need to try and dip into other devices to provide that streaming service for me, right? So it's all discs all the time, and with the HDR tone mapping feature, it's really, really good. So today, those are my two sources, but in the future, I do have a goal of adding in a Kaleidoscape as my top tier movie source outside of discs, outside of physical media. That's the device that I want to have to watch movies on. Now, some people say that you can download the mezzanine files and you get even higher quality than you get out of disc. Now, I haven't experienced it yet, but that is something I want to give a shot and see what it's like in my theater. So upgrades here in the future will absolutely be a Kaleidoscape. If you don't know who those guys are, we'll actually be interviewing them on our Hi-Fi Fanatics podcast here pretty soon. So I recommend you check that out, and I'll drop some links down below so you can check out some other content about the Kaleidoscape. Moving on down from my Blu-ray player, I've got a Crown XLS 1502. Now today, I've got this bridged and it's powering my Devastator, which is a 21-inch humongous subwoofer built by GSG, and that's across the room over there. And if you go and look, you can find my build videos for that to get all those details. But this guy is on dedicated subwoofer duty, and it's done a really, really great job. It doesn't put out a ton of power, but it puts out enough juice to really get that 21-inch moving, and in my room, that's a lot of bass. The next slot down from my Crown is a home theater PC. Now this is a very basic build, and I use it primarily to do REW, manage my crossover, and other assorted tasks, rather than using it as a source device. So this is turned off almost all the time, and I really only turn it on when I'm integrating a new subwoofer, or I'm doing a video and I need some access to software, or for some reason I need to tweak out my crossover. So nice unit, but it mostly stays powered off, and it's just kind of a special event use device. moving down from the home theater PC, we get into some of the fundamentals of the rack, and these are my power strips. So I use two Cyber power strips that were really designed for data center use, but they worked out really well here also. Now, you can mount these on the front or the back, but I wanted to have access to the main power switches, the fuses, and also a couple of plugs on the front so I can plug things in if I want to. I found that these are really nice, they're rock solid, and I can't tell that they change the sound at all, so win. The next item up for bids, so to speak, is this Behringer Nu6000. So this is an oldie but a goodie, and you know, it's supposed to push 3,000 watts by 2, but you know, somewhere probably closer to 2,000 by 2. And I use this today to push a couple of GSG Marty Cube 18-inch roundover subwoofers, and it does a good job for that. But it's super ugly. The NX version, the new version, is way better looking. But this comes in at a good price point. And if you're trying to get into some subs at a good price point, you can find these things used, you know, anywhere from $150 to $200. So I would highly recommend for someone who's just getting into the game, look for some of these old units because you can get them really, really inexpensively, and they do get the job done. Now, as we talked about, I've got this Nu6000, I've got this Crown XLS 1502, and these are on subwoofer duty. But I will be removing these, and I have a Synbison amp on the way. So it's one of the FP10000Qs, and that does, oh gosh, what is it, about 2,500 by 4, and then you can also bridge those down to have bigger channels if you'd like, and that is going to be my consolidated subwoofer amp platform of the future. This is actually speeding its way to me now, so I'll have some content created for that in the near future, showing you exactly what it looks like to implement one of these larger high power amplifiers as opposed to some of the stuff that you're used to seeing. Now, all the adapters and plugs and all that kind of stuff are all the same, but it's going to be really, really nice to gain back 2U of rack space and then have everything in one unit. So I'm super excited to take that next step forward in my home theater amplification journey. Now we get to some of the really good stuff, and that's my PrePro, so my processor. I'm using an Acurus Muse, which is a 16-channel processor, and this thing is stupendous. It sounds amazing. This was an upgrade from a Denon 4400 that actually just blew up today up in my living room, which was super sad, but I think it's just under the 2-year warranty line. But I did this upgrade some number of months ago, and there are videos out there about that too. But this unit is stupendous. It sounds wonderful. It handles all of the video formats that are available. So it'll do 8K, the new version of HDMI. It does everything, right? So it's future-proofed with only firmware update. The price is really aggressive. So this competes directly with the Storm and Trinnov units, and it's priced at half of what those guys are. And, you know, it kind of trounces pretty heavily upon anything that has built-in amplification. So if you're looking for something that comes in at a good price point, is future-proofed for HDMI, plays everything from 4K to 8K, all of the HDR formats, this is a really good unit to look at. One of the speed bumps that people have voiced in the past about the unit was its lack of auto room equalization, so something like Dirac. Well, now that Aspect has been released by Acurus, it will do everything that you see in any of the other processors, so it's really, really, really good. Now, all of that being said, I'm upgrading. So the Muse is short for this lifetime in the Home Theater Fanatics Theater. And I'm not gonna tell you what I'm upgrading to, but I'm really excited. It's gonna allow me to kind of change the way that I deal with subwoofers and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm really excited about that. And you'll be seeing that content come out in the not too distant future. Now we're going to get down to my last two amplifiers, and these are the amplifiers that power all of my bed channels as well as all of my Atmos channels. And today I'm running 9 bed channels and 4 Atmos channels. And these two amps, starting at the very bottom, are the Starke Sound A8, and this is an amplifier that runs Class A for about the first 50 watts and then flips over to Class AB, and it's really the best sounding home theater amplifier that I've ever heard. It's really, really good. Now, beyond that, I've got the Acurus M8. It doesn't sound quite as good as the Class A amplifier from Starke Sound. It costs about half, well, not even half, like a fourth as much, but it does sound very good. It is Class D, puts out a ton of juice, and it's only 2U tall. And I really like when you mate 2 of those amplifiers with the Accurus Muse because they look really, really good together. All the face plates match. It's a really, really attractive stack that's only 6U tall. I mean, 6U for 16 channels of amplification and a 16-channel processor is pretty crazy. But that's what I've got today in for amplification. Now, I will be making some changes there pretty soon as well, so I'm not going to drop and break those secrets now, but you'll have to watch and see in upcoming videos what I'll be doing, but there will be an amplification upgrade as well. So that's my rack, kind of top to bottom. I hope that seeing what I'm doing helps you kind of understand the components that you need in a rack to run a full home theater, so that as you plan yours or plan your upgrades, you'll have like a frame of reference to understand, okay, I need this and this and this, and I've got these things, so here's the thing that I need to deal with. Or I've looked at my setup and I want to expand this way, here's where my weak spot is, and this is what I need to work on. So if you have any questions, please drop those down below in the comments. I'll be happy to answer those. And if you want to have a conversation, I'll do that too, right? The goal of the channel is to provide you guys with the information that you need to really build a great home theater experience in your home. So I want to really, really help make that happen. If you've enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.